Okay, so I have a lot of interesting news for you guys. I'm so excited to come back to you with a new Sony film simulation, and this time is going to be a high fidelity copy from Fujifilm Eterna film simulation. First, I want to make a short introduction to the chapters and what I'll be talking about in this video. I'll start with a comparison between the two cameras to see the main differences between Fuji and Sony. Next, I will reveal the settings for the profile and how to set it up in the camera. Also, how to shoot it in terms of exposure, of temperature, and color filter. Lastly, I'll show you some raw footage from the camera and how it was created using the 8mm home film power grade from Davinci, and how you can use this LUT to grade your own footage. Also, super interesting, I created a Sony film simulation forum on my website, so if you want to find out more details about that, just stick till the end and let's get started. So the Sony Eterna film simulation is an amazing profile with beautiful gradations and colors, giving a great look out of the camera. But that doesn't mean you cannot grade it. Quite on the contrary. This video is color graded using the 8mm home film print. But later in the video I'll show you some sample footage straight from the camera so you can make your own decision whether this profile is for you or not. This profile is about 90 to 95% identical to the Fujifilm with slight differences. To be as accurate as possible, temperature has been set with the help of a grade card on both cameras and shot at the same time. If we look at the two sample footage between the color checker, first thing that we notice is the difference in the contrast. Sony is based on HLG gamma and has soft creamy gradations, while Fuji has an overall flat look with crunchy shadows. This characteristic will be very subjective to every person, and neither is better or worse. On the Sony, the shadows have a slight magenta tint, while Fuji has a green one. As for color, I want to mention this footage was shot before final adjustments. After comparing the footage, I made some slight modifications in the color depth to bring them closer together. So actually, you will get more accurate reproduction than in the sample shown in this video, because I was just too lazy to reshoot the comparison. I'll slowly drag the slider so you can pause and see for yourself the slight differences. As you can see, the blue and the yellows seem a little bit darker in this comparison, so after checking the footage I went back into the profile and brought up the luma values for the selected colors. Overall, greens are a little bit more saturated on the Sony and with warmer tones, while Fuji greens are more desaturated and leaning towards cyan or blue. Sony has more saturated yellows than the Fuji, while reds are more desaturated and have a tendency towards orange. I feel like Sony usually has warmer color tones compared to other camera manufacturers, so to properly match the two, I recommend shooting 200 to 500 Kelvin below normal settings. For example, if daylight is usually 5500 Kelvin, as a rule of thumb, we're going to set the camera between 5300 or 5000 Kelvin to bring down the colors towards the colder tonalities. This way you will shift the greens closer to cyan and red closer to pink. Overall, I would say this profile is about 90 to 95% identical to the Fuji, which is a really good match between the two cameras if you ask me. These are really subtle differences and most people won't even notice at first sight, so now you can match the two straight out of the camera with minimal effort. Now that we saw how it looks compared to the Fuji, let's set it up. I'll walk you through this. On Sony cameras, usually at the top right corner, there's a custom tube button which is assigned to Picture Profiles. If not, you will have to dig into the menu and find it. On my camera is at page 12 at the photo icon. So enter the menu, and here you can see all 10 picture profiles. If you have A7S3, you will have 11 picture profiles, so you're a lucky one. Choose one and hit right to go even deeper into the menus. From here, all we have to do is to replace the settings as shown on the screen. These are the settings for the Sony Eterna Film Simulation Picture Profile, also with suggested Kelvin and color filter adjustments. Remember, pressing the menu button will take you back one page. So after you finish setting up the profile, just hit OK and half press the shutter to exit the menu. Next, we will set the Kelvin and color filter. I've set this function to the joystick for fast access. For this video, I tested a variation of Kelvin values between 4000 and 6600 Kelvin and different color filter options. Most preferred was at 4300 Kelvin with color filter at M2A3. Also, another important detail worth mentioning, I always shoot sRGB in favor of Adobe RGB. Choosing one over another will influence how the camera renders colors, and I prefer sRGB. You can change that from the menu. Obviously, these settings can be tweaked and you can shoot at different Kelvin or make use of the color filter to exaggerate different tones and shades. So don't be afraid to play around. Pushing the temperature towards 4500 Kelvin will shift the greens, which as you can see results into nice bluish tones in the grass. Like I mentioned before, this footage was color graded to push it even closer to film look. Let me show you how it looks straight out of the camera and how to use the 8mm home film print to grade your own footage. So this is the image before the power grade and after the 8mm home film. This film print is a drag and drop solution and it comes in multiple flavors. As you can see, adjustments are separated individually and each node is labeled, so it's easier to find the one that you need and edit or disable it. Compared to classical LUTs, power grades offer you the full control over the grade, which means you can enter each node to see what I've done and modify if needed. But for this video, all I did is to adjust the contrast and lower the saturation. You can find this grade on my website. Now let's check the raw footage. This is straight from the camera, and like I said, I was testing the colors, so some footage might look funkier than it should. In some cases, I pushed the color filter too close to magenta and it shifted the color of the skies towards pink, which is not quite the look I was going for. But when I shot daytime at 4500 or 5300 Kelvin, it rendered very natural and pleasing colors. I'm very surprised of how well the greens are looking. Dynamic range is amazing with super nice gradations between highlights, midtones, and shadows. Skin tone is perfect, and I wouldn't expect less from HLG3 Gamma. Compared to S-Log, HLG base ISO starts from 100 or 125 and has very little noise if you expose them well and require no grading if you don't plan on post-processing. As for exposure, HLG is a hybrid log gamma, and with log in general, you want to expose to the right, otherwise it will be noisier than other profiles. For example, Cine 1, which is probably the best gamma for low light. But as long as you have a fair amount of light, I find it okay to underexpose by half a stop or even one stop. But usually I would expose at 0 exposure or +1. Again, it depends on your setup. So you will have to check the image, assess and decide for yourself if it's too noisy or not. Okay, don't leave yet, I have some exciting news for you. Just created a forum on my website where we can all come together to share custom film recipes, sample photos, and just connect with each other. I think being part of a community is just super cool, so I would like to meet all of you people there. Why not join in? Another reason to join is that I will be posting all the experimental film simulation that I'm currently working on before posting on YouTube, and you will be updated of these profiles before the video is out. Some of the film profiles I'm working on at the moment are Classic Chrome and Kodachrome 64. I already posted some sample pictures of the Kodachrome and this profile is super good. One more thing, I started a hashtag called Sony Film Simulation so we can all use it every time we post on social media using these film profiles. So go check the forum and join in, why not? You can follow me on Instagram for personal projects or follow our studio page for some commercial work. And I think that's it for today. Go out, experiment, have fun, and see you next time.